I'm Terry Cunningham, one of the co-hosts. Our program is based on the premise that life just goes better in general if we're all working together, as opposed to it being you, me, and them. We're back again with this version with Vivian Davis, Executive Director of Chatham Oaks, and her guests.
All right, and this is Sara Thelander and Kristin Thelander.
And of course, Keith Ruff sitting on the end. When we last finished, we were just kind of starting to scratch the surface of mental health disability services redesign, the role for RCF Senate, the problem of either lack of hospital beds for folks who need services right now, and then the problem of a lack of beds for them to transfer to when they have stabilized a little. And so many beds across the state in hospitals have closed in their, what used to be the little 6 or 7 bed psych unit in small hospitals, and lots of RCFs have closed, and where do we find the solution to that aside from money? And how do we, us, convince the powers that be that you're being penny wise and pound foolish to cut these kinds of services? Because it doesn't matter whether you are saying you fund them or not. If somebody's in crisis and needs to go to the emergency room and needs to be hospitalized, they go. It's not a choice. You can't say, I'm sorry, I understand you're in crisis, but the funding.
Wait 4 weeks until you can get in to see a psychiatrist. That's right.
These are things that you just can't put off.
That's right.
And it's the same with anything else in the mental health disability services arena. Even the services that are called, optional or extra or whatever that some counties provide. If somebody's using them, they're essential to them. And if you take them away, what's the person do if one of the reasons they're doing so well is the services they're getting?
Right, and it puts families in a very difficult position, because many families are not in a situation where they can be a care provider to the individual, or there's many people like who we serve at Chatham Oaks who have very few family members, or it's just not a possibility, it's just not an option. So it's kind of the $1 million question, Terry, what's going to happen? But you're right in that we all need to be talking with legislators and the powers that be, advocating for the services that are needed. Because, unfortunately, the individuals who we serve are not always in a situation where they can speak up as needing services for themselves. So it really is up to us all to be advocates, and that's a very, very important thing. One of the things that RCF providers are trying to do, those of us who are kind of the bigger providers in the state and the ones that are more treatment focused and have a good reputation with the Department of Inspections and Appeals, we are really trying to be at the table working with the legislators and DHS to say, let us help with the rule making. Let us show you what we do now and what we can do for you, what is needed. We want to be there to do what is needed for people. We don't want to disappear and close. Like Terry said, there's been a number of RCFs that have closed in the state, and that's sad to see, especially in the more rural areas. One of the things that is one service that is starting to be developed around the region, and primarily through Abby Inc., is the development of homes in the community that are, for the most part, 5 people live in a home, and they all have a chronic illness. There's 24-hour staffing there, and the funding source then that is utilized is habilitation, home-based habilitation, and that is a Medicaid-funded services. So it takes that off of the counties. The counties do not have to pay for the services provided to those individuals. This is something that is kind of new in the making, and we do have a plan at Chatham Oaks to start some of these types of locations, these homes, in the community here in Iowa City, Coralville area. So I am very, very excited about it. It gives the opportunity for people to have, more normal living situation in the community. Smaller group, less people, less stressful than having more people around. And each person, again, would have individualized plans and goals that they would work on. They have many opportunities to get out in the community and do things, participate in the community as any other community member. So I really do see that as the future of services for those individuals who are able to do that. Now, there is still a population that may or may not be able to do that, and we may try it, and I know that Abby Inc. has tried with some individuals, and they have not been successful, unfortunately, and have come back to the RCF and are doing more work to become more stable. But there's certainly a number of people who have serious, persistent mental illness and are pretty much symptomatic 24/7, and it is just challenging enough to live in the RCF setting, let alone in the community. And
that brings up several issues then. The first being the automatic comeback when you guys asked to be at the table and be involved in writing plans and rules and all this stuff is, well, you guys are just doing that so you can get more funding. It's like, But unfortunately, that's the appearance. The frustrating part that Keith and I find in a lot of this is we need to get the people using the services at the table, or at least in one location. And I understand that not everybody gets up and talks at the drop of a hat like I do, but to have bodies supporting that is what we need. I'll never have a problem getting up and talking about things and being the voice, but what my voice needs is a room full of people who use the services and can, grumble, clap, do something every once in a while to let legislators and other power brokers know, yes, this needs to happen. Whether it, like with the seats issue we went through and still are. If there's only 5 or 6 of us showing up at meetings saying, everybody needs this, their question is, then where is everybody? And that's just such a frustrating issue that we need to figure out a way to take care of that.
And I think it's a special challenge among the population of people that have chronic mental illnesses, because some of them are not able to speak up for what they need. In fact, I dare say many of them are not able to speak up for what they need. So there are people, perhaps like my daughter Sara, who has come such a long ways and has been in very dark places, but is doing so well now that maybe can speak for these needs. And then there could be people like me who is a family member of and has followed and been very, very involved all along.
That certainly is helpful.
But it really, from what I can see as an outsider to the provider, that's not why the providers are concerned about having having a continuation of services. I mean, you know that.
I understand that. But
yeah, and because I was at a meeting once where a person with a mental illness that I didn't, wasn't privy to what it was exclaiming about how hard it was to get services. And this individual said at a meeting, I'm going to have to attempt suicide before I'm going to get paid attention to get services. And it's tragic that you can't get services unless you are in immediate, deathly harm.
it is.
It's tragic.
And it's not only the mental health
Of course.
Yeah.
area. A lot of disabled people have been helped most of their lives.
That's right.
But when they complain and don't do anything about it, that gets my agenda up.
And that's why I say, people who can't speak don't need to, but somehow they've got to
Yeah.
be supportive so that,
Yeah.
as I say, it's not just 5 when it really means, 50, 500, however many.
Yeah.
And that's the question that lawmakers at both the state and federal level have. As they say, every year, here come the providers saying the same things about we need this, we need that,
Yeah.
this isn't working, that isn't working, and they ask a question which is 100% legitimate. Why haven't we heard from people who utilize these services that they're not adequate, they're underfunded, they're what, we need to hear from them.
And my answer is that it's very difficult for a lot of people who need the services to speak for themselves.
Well,
So
speaking
that's-
also means writing,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
and of course, the comeback on some of that stuff is transportation is one of the highest things on the list.
Yeah.
And that
So
too,
if you
Yeah.
can't get there,
right?
it's hard to do it.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
That's right.
That's right.
we can get letter writing campaigns or emails or calls, and I have been amazed, especially at the state level, how few people it takes to get action on something.
Yes.